See love checked into my heart and trashed it like a hotel room. Who's your God? Where is she? She wants to bury me in Austin or New Chicago. She don't want to be a man or a woman. She wants to be your love. Oh, sweet love. All of the others don't adore us, straight around her. Make your romance be made up. I'll be your vodka in it, spot and escape to the love. She don't want to be your man or a woman. She wants to be your love. Multi love's got me on my knee. We were one, then we gone three. Mama, what have you done to me? I'm half crazy. Multi love. It's not that this song's about her, no songs are about her. Sunshine's underneath us, fearing new kinds of mind control and just blaming each other. She don't want to be a man or a woman. She wants to be your love. Oh, still love. Checked into my heart and trashed it like a hotel room. Who's your God? Where is she? She wants to bury me in Austin or New Chicago. She don't want to be a man or a woman. She wants to be your love.
Hello, everyone. We are live. It's good to be here. Good evening, Mark.
Hey, how's it going, Ruben? What are you saying?
It's going well. We're here. We're looking really big, but welcome to the show this evening. Moving to Saturday nights this week. It's been a busy few weeks, I think, for everyone.
It's been
settling
insane.
into the season. Yeah,
that's right. I liked our opening screen there. Angry Men podcast. Two happy-go-lucky guys remembering how not to be angry.
I like that. And let's take a look at that for a moment. Let's really just go back on that. Okay, there we are.
Now, this is not what we're sticking with, obviously. As far as we know, anyway. Right now, we're calling it. What do we call this show?
We've been calling it a few different things. That was one of them. We were calling it. We were going over a few names, potential names, on a short list earlier as we really refine the concept. I have a long list of things I can't talk about. Even longer list of things that I can talk about. I think it's a pretty exciting possibilities as we narrow things. Oh, I saw something move over there. What just happened?
That was just a wall moving. The house is falling apart. It's okay.
It looks like your sound machine is coming together.
That's right.
To have an improved experience.
My laundry buzzer went off, so I was like, "Oh, I'll probably have to lock this in here."
I like it. That's you are really coming in. Like the room is surrounding you.
That's
it's
right.
encasing you, which makes
I'm
things.
In the audio box.
I like that. So we're here. We're streaming on a few different things tonight, which is pretty exciting. I think there's a ton of topics we can really dive into, and I'm excited to get there. We had Robbie on our first show. Robbie has not returned. I hear he wants to join us again, but he's in the middle of Alberta right now, and my heart goes out to him.
Not available.
I mean, he's enduring the circumstance in rural Alberta. So,
oh, come on now. We were pretty hard on Alberta last show, so we have to be easy on the Albertans today. I mean, they're good people.
I spent over a decade in Alberta.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have the right to. That's why I, as someone who put in the time,
I live there
to do that. Yeah, right. Yeah, you have to live somewhere to really complain about it.
I don't know if you know about this about me, but I grew up in Florida. So if we ever feel like thrashing in Florida a bit, I got the license. That's it. Right?
I feel like anyone has the license for Florida at this point a little bit, but you have a special type of license.
I'm going to be honest, Ruben, that was kind of my joke.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much anyone can, not to slant. I knew a lot of the Floridians. So, it's funny because through my life, I haven't necessarily kept a lot of long-term friends. I look at Facebook sometimes, I see people still friends with many of their high school friends, and probably some of those aren't by my choice. But who I have kept for most of my life are actually my friends from Florida. They're some of the most amazing, big-hearted, good-souled people. And so shout out. I want to say that much.
And I hope they vote accordingly.
Yeah, I actually don't know if any of them are living in Florida anymore. But anyway, they're great folks.
We could say they've gone on to a better place.
Well, not like that.
No, I mean physically they've moved to other states.
Yeah, like
that's
North
what I'm
Carolina,
saying. Like they literally have physically moved to a better place. That's what that was the joke. That they're very much with us, but they've left Florida.
This could be the joke. This could be the episode where we explain our jokes to each other. I think
right. That was the joke. That was the joke.
Yeah. I better take the hat off so I can.
Yeah, that's it. I've been watching a lot of Three Stooges recently, classic Three Stooges.
Wise guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What's really funny though is having lived near Paramount Studios where they shot a lot of their episodes when they didn't shoot them in Burbank. Cool. Yeah. The street, the main sort of shopping street where I lived is where a lot of the outdoor scenes were filmed when they had a streetcar there back in the day. So the buildings were often very much the same as they are today. Other than
they hadn't changed
businesses. Right. They haven't changed much. So it's actually funny having that sense of connection in a strange way to the Three Stooges in a way that I never would have ever imagined growing up.
Right in front of this very expensive clothing store, there was a pie and a fire extinguisher gassed.
That's right. And this is where they sold fish and they were tossing them up to the window in the scene.
Oh, yeah.
But in reality, now it's a salt and straw, this lavender salted ice cream for $14 a scoop. And there's a lineup out the door.
Best kind of ice cream.
They have one in Seattle. You might have tried it. Salted ice cream. Yeah.
I love the salty sweet combo. Not good for you, but I love it.
Dessert usually isn't, though, nor should it. In fairness, I just want to point it out. It's been a challenging, I think it's been a challenging time, Mark, for a lot of people, myself included. We are coming up for those who have been doing some social, or still continuing to respect social physical distancing.
Yeah.
The continued sense of isolation, challenges with work. I mean, obviously, just as someone who's working full time as you are, I think, and like most working folks, there's the challenges of just having to balance all of that while still living your life and raising your family and giving your partner what they need during this time, or not giving your partner what they need, and all and we're in all very close quarters in ways we haven't before. And I think it's funny. I was feeling when people were doing really poorly, in my experience, and really suffering 30, 60 days into this is when there was really a lockdown in effect, sort of across the board. I was in a really overall very optimistic place, feeling very excited and enjoying the time, especially having the great privilege of being able to retreat to the country like I was doing.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
But I think, 7 months in, it's hitting me in new ways. And there's days when, you're challenged at your job in ways that are just, I think, normal with every job, that, you're challenged either by the work or the conditions or whatever the situation is. Nothing new, but it is new under sort of this level of duress, perhaps. And, it's easy to go home and vent, but at the same time, there's this new guilt of knowing how many people don't have work right now and all of these other things. Do I have the right to even have these complaints that were trivial?
It's an emotionally confusing time, no doubt.
We don't sound angry. We sound it's not angry tonight.
I think that's the whole point of making this little background was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of deal, because I think that's what it's about a little bit in terms of the masculine kind of battle to be in touch with emotions often gets reverted into anger, right? So, I don't think many of our friends would consider you and I angry people. That's so the angry guy thing. I think part of Too Happy Go Lucky Guys remembering how not to be angry is because you and I are able to talk through, and that's, I've definitely got a angry side. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean, as do I for sure.
Your phone. You're supposed to turn your phone off before class.
No, I was trying to tune in from the phone just to make sure we're getting a feed and the sound came through. That was my mistake. That was my mistake.
I'm just teasing. So,
yeah.
I think it's like if you don't get through talking out what's going on for you, especially in the masculine, I think it turns into that anger. It's like that man anger that kind of gets pushed down until it comes out in a different way. I think there's also a similar feminine energy, but it shows up a little bit differently. And anyway, that's kind of the point of that. The tongue in cheek there is, and to be honest, a lot of the aspects of what you were just talking about actually does anger me a bit, to be honest. I mean, and I'm sure there's aspects that anger everybody. So this past week, I had to work from home for almost, I think it was exactly a week, but it was over a weekend, so it seemed longer. And our kids had coughs, and quite frankly, last year we would have been like, okay, kids got a cough, they're staying home, and we do what we got to do. But there was like, can't go to school until this is checked out, got to go get testing, sitting and waiting for testing results, taking conference calls for work while you're in the 3-hour line in the COVID, line, in the car waiting to get tested. So, and then there's my partner's got to call 6 different numbers to alert people that the kids aren't going to be there. And, and it's just, and we were kind of like, the whole thing was angering, to be honest, like there were so many things. And
because you still, like everyone, and I'm just pointing, not that you're different or trying to say that, but what I'm saying is, you still have all your normal responsibilities on top of all of this. Like, it's not like nothing's changed eased in that department, professionally, personally, all of those obligations still very much exist. I even say in a greater way, there's a greater pressure to deliver in your work and show results to some degree. I feel there's some greater pressure right now because of the sort of higher stakes business environment out there.
Sure, yeah.
So it's not a time in many companies where we're able to coast, which, ideally, I think we'd be taking a sort of a step back if we could, being a little lighter in some of the work. But that's not the situation either.
Yeah, no. And like I said, I was on a conference call on headphones while story time went over the Bluetooth in the car, like, and it just is what it is. And it's, it's just what we got to do. And, that's it. The responsibility goes with that. Yeah.
That's very much, I think, the case of the day. I did a call in the Trader Joe's parking lot while I was getting groceries at 5-something p.m. because I wanted to get down the mountain while it was still daylight. But just taking calls in times where maybe it wouldn't be as urgent to do so. There might be greater flexibility, or normally it'd be like, oh, I'll go on this day to the store instead. But, I'm trying to reduce my visits to the stores. So you're trying to get more done when you go out in one go, while still work and keep all of those personal and professional things going. It's definitely a lot. And I fear for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are teetering on the edge right now, not able to have these conversations and these connections. And then with winter coming, literally and sort of metaphorically, it feels like in America, with winter coming, I fear what that means for a lot of people and their mental health, and men in particular, men who are angry and repressing those emotions and feelings and pressures. And is that a perfect storm of a boiling point, and depression for so many too, which is often, just a regular occurrence with the changing of the seasons to winter.
So let me just ask you, where's that impression from?
Where's the impression? Well, I think
I'm not downing it. Just curious.
Yeah, I think I'm looking overall. I've been reading a lot of articles about and seeing a lot of people's own posts online and social media. about their own mental health state and how they're doing. And I think, people that I know that have had potential COVID exposure or even COVID diagnosis, they're afraid to mention it. They're embarrassed. There's a shame. There's a fear around, am I going to get it? What is actually considered high risk behavior versus low risk behavior. And then, it's just the isolation, the pressure, the removal of being able to, we're not in the same city, but if we were in the same city, I wouldn't, to be honest with you, wouldn't be comfortable doing this in the same room. And so it's all of those things. So it's great that we have this. It wouldn't make a difference to me if I was, instead of a few thousand kilometers away, if I was only 5 kilometers away, it wouldn't make a difference. That's about 9 kilometers to you, or 9 miles to Americans.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna say,
but right, yeah. I know my audience. I know who I'm speaking with, and I change it all the time. And I fake Fahrenheit. I still fake it. I know how to do it, but I know what it is approximately. I'm like,
30 degrees.
It was 110 yesterday. Yeah, right. Yeah.
86 Fahrenheit. I had to say 86 every time.
86.
But it was a dry heat, so it felt hotter. That's why.
That's right. Yeah.
Sounds weird.
I've been here so long now that it feels, we have a day that's under 100. I put on pants. That's all. And 100 is normally quite hot. That's like if it's 35 degrees, it's hot. And if it's under like 30 degrees Celsius, I'm like, pants weather, and that's how you've been in Southern California for too long. I'm in a long sleeve shirt. It was 27 degrees today. An autumn 27, but I think so. It's a lot of the articles I'm seeing. I'm seeing from talking with friends in the mental health space. They're busier than ever.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
And so, from a business standpoint, good. They're doing all right, but that is quite concerning as well from a professional perspective. When I talk to another friend of mine who does some volunteering with a mental health service line in Vancouver, they've had a ton of calls come in through that program, more than usual. And I think people are looking for a lifeline in a way right now, and a sense of connection and a sense of community in ways that perhaps they always have, but I think to a much, much greater extent.
Yeah, I was just curious. I wasn't sure if you would see that professionally when you're on calls with people, or like so I was actually just impressed if you were hearing that. But obviously, at any point in something like this, you can always see kind of like, you can see the signs, that's, I can never feel the signs. That's for sure. It's funny because part of me, it's the right word, behoved. I'm behoved to talk more about COVID. But if you want to talk about emotions and what's going on for people right now, obviously that's something that's going to be at the top of the list on that plate. So it's always kind of interesting to kind of like bring it up or figure out what's going on with people, at work, doing mental check-ins, just people, how you doing kind of thing. And yeah, absolutely. I think this is grinding on people, to say the least.
I've been encouraging in my workplace a lot of wellness days in the form of sick days. So using sick time, because, there's a lot of accrued sick time that if you're not physically sick, you don't feel comfortable taking. But is it really a vacation just to manage your own personal wellness? And I unfortunately have the ability to allow my team to utilize those as such. And I know that's not always the case, but that's been really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough balance, or like you're using days to take care of family or whatever it is, right? And that happens outside of this situation as well. You brought up a topic that you wanted to kind of talk about, and I liked it. I thought about it last week while we were going on, and it's interesting because it did a cross path with kind of what we're talking about now, the mental health stuff, things kind of weighing on you or grinding at you, and it's about the topic of fulfillment, right? So in this time, it's like, how many people feel like they're just surviving, or like just managing, just getting through, just,
or not even,
of course, right? But that's what I'm saying. That's like the high point for some.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's lots of people who are doing well, and I don't want to say a blanket statement that everyone's struggling. But probably easier to identify it than it was prior to this, right? So the cross point is sort of like, how you brought up fulfillment. How do you stay fulfilled? Or if you're, depending on what your philosophy on fulfillment is, driving towards constant fulfillment or the ability to be fulfilled. Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking on that.
I think it's so hard. In many ways, our society and just sort of the workplace culture and social culture deems that we should be getting some sense of fulfillment or purpose derived from our professional work. I think that's a false assertion, because although I think we can feel fulfilled by the work we do, professionally speaking, that might not actually give us the personal fulfillment. Like, we can still be fulfilled, but not fulfilled, in a very sort of complicated viewpoint. So, I can feel a sense of good work that I'm doing within my role, but I can also take a step back and go, this feels meaningless in the big picture, especially right now with everything that's going on. So for me, there's that professional struggle. There's the personal struggle of fulfillment, art creatively as a performer, whether it's on stage or in whatever that creative medium might be, or I'm wanting to do.
Whatever your medium is, right?
Whatever that medium is, not being able to achieve that feeling. For me, some of it's the taxation from work, but what is the greater purpose for everything that we're doing here? And is it from our work? Is it from our creative projects? Is it from the people in our lives? How are we gaining fulfillment? What makes you fulfilled? I don't mean what is fulfilling you, but what is fulfillment to you?
Well, like we tell the kids with the emotional stuff, or like you say in the mental health world, is like, nothing can make you feel anything or be anything. So it's like, they're making me mad. It's like, well, they can't make you mad. You have to react to be mad. So I kind of feel like fulfillment is similar to that. And for me, I don't know if I can compartmentalize them, or if I should mix them or shouldn't mix them. Is purpose and fulfillment, do they hold hands? Are they the same thing? Are they different tracks? I don't know. What do you think? Are they related?
I think they're related, but they're not. They're similar, but they're different.
Right. Fair enough. So I think I agree with you. And so what I always
sense of purpose can lead to fulfillment, I believe, in some aspects.
Absolutely.
But I don't.
So I think that's the right. It is a track to fulfillment, I guess, is maybe how I'd say it. And so I feel more familiar with the purpose thing because I made a decision around that years ago. I often feel fulfilled and I often don't feel fulfilled. So I'm not a pro at that. I don't have, I guess, if you're feeling fulfilled all the time, you've hit enlightenment. Is that kind of, is that how the rankings work? I don't know if there's rankings, but anyway, one thing I always
wouldn't
said,
to hit enlightenment, you would have to desire nothing. So would you be fulfilled at that point? Because
paradox. I love it.
Right? Yeah, I'm not sure. Am I striving for fulfillment? No, but then if I have the attainment of not having fulfillment, that is enlightenment.
You fulfilled the
lack of fulfillment, and that is fulfilling in itself. That is, yeah.
Oh man,
that's the real fulfillment. And I'll tell you, I'm not
today,
there.
and that was almost like pulling teeth.
Right.
So
explain that joke to me.
Yeah, I actually went to the dentist, and what you were saying was actually like pulling teeth
without sedation.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't go on a tangent, Mark. Okay, so what I often was saying with clients was, no, actually a good example. I in a job interview once, someone asked me, they mentioned that they have seen recently that finding your purpose is dead, essentially, right? Like, especially in the self-help and coaching world. And I wanted to know more about the context of that statement, but I also had a response instantly because I just said, of course it is. Of course it's dead.
Yeah.
And the reason it's dead is because we're all, we, the royal, we, general public, or, whoever is the royal, but are following these hits of, serotonin from chasing social media and such. So like everyone's looking at the short game. And and worrying about the long game at the same time, right? So everyone's thinking, oh, I'm going to be in my deathbed. I think I talked about this before. In my deathbed, worried about whether I regret life, right? And so, of course, purpose is going to be dead. You got to figure out who you are and what you're doing. And I think if you know who you are, that's what ties to the fulfillment piece. And so it's about being fulfilled in daily and instant moments. I think that's what it is about. And I think also the paradox you gave, it's about not looking for fulfillment. Like what do we need, right? Like what do we need?
Well, that I would argue is once you have a clearer sense of who you are, that would also help identify just organically, just through that sort of holistic approach.
The needs to
purpose,
be you,
which would go to that fulfillment sense, sort of what is that? And as soon as you have a much clearer sense of that sort of what, but I also think a lot of what is sold in a lot of sort of self-help books is very one-dimensional. Like it's not necessarily attuned to folks like you and I, and correct me if I'm wrong in this assertion, but those who are multi-versed in their interests and skills. It's very much sort of that very mono-focused super interest or super passion where it's one thing and that immerses your whole existence.
I thought that was the only way to be fulfilled, if you had one thing that covered your whole existence. It's going to fill my lighting here. Sorry.
Fulfill your lighting.
And first of all, thank you, because you called me multiversed, and I don't always feel multiversed. I mean, I guess I'm a parent, and I'm a partner, and I'm a employee, and so I don't know if I'm necessarily the right person to talk about who I think I am. But there's this core kind of feeling about understanding yourself, and I think it's like, instead of chasing who you might be, it's like the same thing in that moment thing. It's like, who can I be in this moment that's the best version of me? And I think that's
right.
That's where I'm getting at. But when someone asks that question of who you are, I'm like, I'm the guy in front of you right now, or I'm not sure what else I should say about that.
But you also have some coaching hustles you got going on, which is a personal, like, I think even in your own description there, you missed out on several of your
you're right.
your interests and your
the ego loss of figuring out. Well, okay, so I do leadership coaching. That's definitely part of who I am, or what my being is. That's my whole premise of my coaching, is the way you show up, your way of being. And I think that's what I'm talking about, actually, is that who am I in this moment? What's the best being I can be that's a version of me? And when I look at it from my perspective, or what I'm chasing, I guess, is actually the angry man thing, right? So
back to the title.
And I think that's why for me, technical stuff like this is is sort of my creative outlet. Like, even though some might not think it's really art or anything, but just kind of putting little things together like this. So there you go. So and angrymen.ca doesn't exist. So
thank you for pointing that out.
I didn't even realize it was up there. I can work on that. So and the reason that kind of keeps being drawn to my nature is because until recently, exploring my full spectrum of emotions, they all showed up as anger. And so now my chase is to not be angry or reactive in the moments that are challenging for me. It's easy enough to be a good guy, big heart, jovial, hilarious, charming. I should go on. But
humble,
except when you're
modest.
I forgot a couple. Jeez. And
can I tell you on that point, though, just interject? And this is a fluid. I'm going to interject.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I thought is really funny, and this is just as a Canadian American here in America, is in Canada we are so taught to be so modest, and there's something, even in business, there's some humility you want to. That will not get you anywhere here. When I came down here and you take that approach, if you don't hard sell yourself, and I mean like truly hard sell yourself, they actually think you just don't have the skills.
Tell me why I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Right. But you also need to have a strong vocabulary, sense of confidence going in, powerful with that conviction, and if anything, oversell yourself. Or if you went in, that would be too bold in Canada. They'd be like, whoa, this guy's a little cocky. I'm not sure about him. If you didn't do that here, they would go, I think this guy's a little insecure. I'm not sure if he's the one we'd want for this role. And it was such a different perspective coming down here a bit and changing that. And also now going back when I'm in Canada going, okay, you actually have to dial it back a little. That's not how they do it here.
Well, maybe that's the reason my humor went in that direction. Don't forget, I grew up in Florida.
That's right. There we are. Florida man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was saying, funny and charming and so
right, yeah.
humble. But the point is that it's easy enough to be the good version of yourself in situations that are challenging. But when you are challenged, to dig deep and to come out, not as an angry man. That's sort of
right.
why I get drawn to that whole thing.
That is the key. That really is the key. So on the topic of fulfillment, going deeper back to this, which I guess goes back to the sense of who we are and what we're told to be. Can you be truly multifaceted, multiversed in terms of your interests, your purpose, who you are, and be fulfilled? Or is that something that's more designed for those sole purpose people that have that master purpose that encompasses, I think I'm thinking of a visual artist or two that I know where painting and murals and canvases are their life. And that's what they wake up for in the morning. For me, I would like theater. I enjoy writing. Do I enjoy the professional work that I do as part of my day job? Absolutely. I enjoy some consulting, both for business and in the performing arts. I was also doing a magic prior to COVID. I was working on this performance art magic installation that was going to be in Manitoba, like all of these things. But it's not like for many, it would be like one of those would be their sort of super focus. And that's really never how I've operated.
Well, what's your answer? What do you think? Is fulfillment only the gift of those who get so passionate about one single thing? Is that the only people who are allowed to be fulfilled?
Well, I also don't think I think also looking at it a little bit more fluid. May I dive deeper? You may.
One more layer. Let's go.
One more layer. Let's go.
The conversation's not there yet. We're going.
Not there yet. We're going, and we're not that angry. I know it says it. So going deeper, I'm thinking, for example, because when you said that, is there fulfillment? And then I also realized, well, I have fulfillment, but fulfillment's fleeting. But is that not how it is even for them? If that is their sole interest, I'm not sure that the painter who's selling their paintings regularly, they've made a career of this. Are they feeling fulfilled constantly, continuously? No, I'm sure that their sense of fulfillment is arguably just as fleeting, because now that you've monetized and you turned, let's say, your passion, your soul passion, the super passion into your soul purpose, and now it has given you some fleeting fulfillment. Now there's the pressure of, oh my gosh, I have 3 shows coming up. I got to produce 6 canvases of this theme by this date. Now it's just another job with deadlines and people you're answering to who are going, well, this isn't at all in the theme of your last show. I'm not sure if the buyers are going to like,
but I'm going to argue that if you're going the direction of soul passion and in the equation is fulfillment. So I think I'd agree with you that probably what you're speaking of is someone who hasn't found fulfillment, or they found satisfaction, let's call it, in something. And then it unraveled or went a direction that kept them outside of that. So absolutely, the choices you make is where the fulfillment lands, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. But is it fleeting for everyone? I mean, at the end of the day, it very well could be, I feel like.
What about if every choice you made satisfied you? Oh, I got you.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can hear it.
It feels appropriate.
So gonna be copyright rules. Facebook's gonna shut us down for this. You know that, right?
Nah, they won't. They're not that good. I've tried this. I play old clips all the time. I've learned their route. That's all I needed to hear. But satisfaction and fulfillment are sort of two different things. You could be very satisfied with something and it didn't fulfill you.
Well, that's I guess
I
what I'm
didn't
getting
play that part of the song.
at.
He eventually gets it, but he's not fulfilled. Yeah.
He's like, oh, here it is. That was great.
Yeah.
And then the next
Yeah.
he wakes up and goes, okay, what's next?
That's
So
right.
is that the answer? What's next?
Well, the next track on the album. This is a
Is there an irony
1965
coming up here?
album. Well, no, I just the Rolling Stones. That was from the album Out of Our Heads. But the next track is called "Cry to Me," so I don't maybe think they found it.
It sounds like they might have been on a similar journey, actually. Out of our heads, Satisfaction.
The next one is "Play with Fire," and then
That's right.
one more try. That's how they end the album. So,
Is there any
and the title is Out
there
of
a
Our
bonus
Heads.
track? That's before
Yeah.
bonus tracks, right? So
Yeah.
if you had the record, maybe there was an extra instrumental at the end.
Yeah, but so I think a lot of sense of that. But I also think, what is fulfillment? I mean, you can feel fulfilled from a good conversation and a sense of community, and that will fulfill one aspect of what that is meaningful and what is giving you fulfillment. But I think the greater part, perhaps, of what I'm really trying to get at and pushing for is how can we nurture some sense of fulfillment in every part of our day? Because it's a fleeting thing. We understand there's not going to be this consistent, overarching feeling of fulfillment at any given point. Like, making coffee in the morning. Coffee's coming out exactly as I made it out of the machine. Very fulfilling. Obviously, if you didn't
Nailed
spill
it.
beans everywhere and dump water on the counter as you're pouring it, there's, a minor accomplishment here before, 6 a.m. But is it fulfilling? Probably not. Is the first sip of coffee fulfilling? No, it's enjoyable, but is it? It's not. That's not
Satisfying.
fulfillment. Yeah, it's satisfying.
Right.
But how do we find those true moments where you're feeling fulfilled? I was trying to get my creative juices going, and there was a class that I was thinking about taking for a few days last week and going, should I sign up? And then it was an online registration page, and I'm like, you're still there. And I looked the day before the class started last Saturday, a week ago tonight. And I'm going, okay, they have a few openings, and I know they only had 15 people. It was a virtual class they were enrolling. It was about character development and performance. And I was like, okay, This is something I want to do. And it's going to, specifically within magic, actually, I'm going to get really nerdy. It was specifically within magic and character development for magicians. And it was held by a magician, is the instructor who I respect and has a sort of a well-crafted character. So I was going back and forth, and then I'm playing with the shopping cart because I know that it has 15. So I'm like trying to enter quantity 6, quantity 5, seeing how many people are registered in the class, seeing based on how many will let me in.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to see, like, do I have to buy because there's one spot left
Right. That's
now
what I mean.
and make a
You're playing the
decision,
code. You're
right?
like, can I go 2 tickets? And no, okay.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, okay, there's still 5 or 6 slots open. So the next morning, I woke up. It was Sunday morning. I'm feeling good. I usually wake up pretty early. I'm in the habit of early wake ups, which I've been trying to do for a long time. Now, it's also because the clocks haven't changed yet. I'll talk to you in a month from now. Once we change the clocks, I'll be like, yeah, I'm sleeping till 10. It's all over.
I haven't woken up every day.
Yeah, right. I've been in bed for a week. You're like, where are you? It's a new background. I'm like, I'm broadcasting from bed. Yeah.
Holding the phone up to your face. I got this.
There's some nights where I wish I could
Wonka. Yeah, there's some nights I wish I could broadcast from the couch, like just laying there chatting.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not getting on this couch.
Can we talk about what a guy that Uncle Joe was in the original Willy Wonka? Sitting in that couch using a bedpan for years. Yeah.
My memory is a little hazy about that.
The grandparents, they're in bed. They've been in bed for like 20 years. And then he's like, hey, we're going to the chocolate factory. The guy
we got chocolate.
They've been living in poverty, like dire poverty. But meanwhile, chocolate factory, for that he gets out of bed for. Anyway, priorities, Grandpa Joe.
Not for the potatoes, for the chocolate.
Yeah, well, he knows what fulfills him. But how do we get a little bit of that sense of fulfillment? So for me, going back to the story, Sunday morning, I pulled the trigger on the class like 20 minutes before it's scheduled to start. It was like 11 a.m. Pacific. At 10:40, I'm up. I'd been up for a few hours going, am I going to do it?
You mean you signed up?
I signed up. I pulled the trigger to do it, signed up. And I knew I should do it because the thought of doing it is something I hadn't done in a while. I haven't taken a class or something in a while, where perhaps I wasn't the smartest person in the room and just truthfully, where I'm not. No, I mean that where I'm not the one leading
you
the
just mean you're
class.
challenged, right? Yeah.
No, where I'm not leading it. It's not a topic that I, it's familiar. I've done a lot of
Right,
work in
right.
that in prior theater programs, but it's not an area that I've dusted off and really spent time on in the last 10, 15 years, really. So I'm like, okay, this is something that will be a good challenge. It scares me, and the nervousness is what made me actually go, okay, let's do this. And the first class was supposed to be 90 minutes. It was a little longer, and the next one's tomorrow, and there's only 3 of them, so it was hardly a commitment. But I really enjoyed it, and the sense of fulfillment that I received from that, and even going into the week with that little bit of extra creative energy, even though it didn't change anything of what I was doing during the week. It didn't change, it's not like I was now you're a performer and you're back to doing what you used to do. No, but it got some juices flowing, and it made some ideas happen, and it unclogged some sort of mental blockages that I had.
So was it about challenging yourself and growing, or was it because you went back to what you love, or was it a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B?
I think it was a bit of both, though. I think it's going back to what I love, but I mean, I left it because I didn't love it anymore at a time, so you got to listen to that too. But returning back to an old interest, so there's a familiarity, a foundational knowledge and familiarity and passion at the underlying thing. But I think the sense of creativity for me led to, so we're talking about fulfillment, but led to that sense of purpose, which then led to that sense of fulfillment, which I carried on through that day, and I think a little bit into the week. And especially as I started doing some of the homework that was required as part of it that I have to bring to the class tomorrow, which I did mostly on Thursday and Friday, but sort of that propelled me into the second half of the week, just giving me that as an exercise. And it's weird because I never really saw myself as a huge class person, but everyone doing the virtual thing these days makes it so easy. It's so easy.
Little kick in your step.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you think that's
totally.
Do you think people just want to take more classes online now? Like, obviously that's a booming industry, I'm sure, but are people committing? Are people really like
in this group, I felt like
that?
I felt so like there's a separate Facebook group for the class, so we got to sort of throw off some ideas from the homework assignment within that sort of community. And let's be honest, out of the 11 other people registered in the program, there's probably only 4 people or 5 people. Half of the people are quite engaged in that little group and sharing things. The others are MIA on there, and that's fine. We'll see them back in class tomorrow. No, it is, because it's that's not a requirement. That's just it's here if you want to utilize this as an extra channel.
Right? Watching.
Yeah, totally. And Facebook groups actually show you, and in fact, they are following. They're just more lurking, and that's everyone has their own comfort, and they're stealing the best of our ideas for their own.
But we know that that's part of the online experience in terms of, especially with classes, right? Like every course comes with a master class or a Facebook group or some talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, and
you can just lurk.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I mean, and I was doing a little bit of lurking, but then I'm like, okay, they're doing some interesting conversations. I'll jump into this. And so I think it's good. I mean, and there's something fun about it because the instructor isn't here in California, and none of the people taking it are in my immediate area. So you're getting a very interesting international mix of people coming together with a similar interest and alignment. A few of them, when they were telling me about their sort of performance background, a couple of the people in particular that are attending really sort of piqued my interest as to the type of projects that they're working on. And just having that alignment and that creative outlet that's not within my own friend circle either. Because friends, even though friends can be encouraging, friends can also, especially within, I think, performance, be jealous. There's jealousy of, hey, they wish they were doing more performing, so they're down on your idea. So just, meeting with strangers.
And friends, all they do is pin us down.
No, that's not what it is. But, with performance friends, I think, if you're not feeling fulfilled, it's easy to knock down someone else's thing.
Oh yeah.
If it feels threatening to you, or I
think it's like that in any kind of parallel path. Even just if it was if I'm with another dad, they're like, oh, my kids have been great, blah, blah, blah. Or, sometimes it's me saying that, and I wonder if other people feel that way, but you hear it sometimes and you go, oh, yeah, that's good for you. we all have up and down days or up and down times, and that's why, as you mentioned, it sometimes feels like fulfillment's fleeting, right? Like, and how do we choose to be fulfilled, or how do we find it on an ongoing basis? I don't know. I don't have the answer, but better at applying it in the moment, like right now.
You hit on something though I thought was really interesting. So I'm going to use this as a pivot point, because what you talked about is, when we're talking to people, in your example, you were talking about when you speak to other fathers and certain things you do, and we all do this. You don't have to be a parent, but you're talking about, hey, how's it going? You either feel like you're talking where you're coming from a boastful place, which doesn't, maybe that's not being read accordingly, but you're in a good space, and that you had a great morning and you're seeing them at 11 a.m. Just ran into this old coworker or whatever on the street, and you're in a good space and you're feeling good, so you're, oh, I'm doing great. Doesn't mean you were doing great last night right before bed, because
Right.
that thing came up again that we all, everyone has that thing that keeps coming up, and that's what ruined the end of the evening. But this morning you're doing great. So you're saying you're doing good, but this person had a shitty morning. So they're like, oh man, what is this going? He's having a, but on the other side, you don't want to be too modest and humble if you are feeling great, because it's let's exuberate that. It's how do we balance the authenticity there? Because that's sort of what you were talking about. How do we be, or is he just fronting even, where they're going, oh yeah, I'm great, doing really well, and it's like, you're probably not, and that's okay too. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, and I guess people, without shitting on someone's day, it's like that responsibility of, I want to be authentic. I want to talk about what's going on for me. I don't want to be a downer, but maybe today I need to be, and that's okay too, right? So we need to have this weird balance of, as I said at the beginning, it's emotional confusion right now. I sent a thing in the private chat for you, if you can throw that in the banner. It was about the boasting about how great things are. I think this is a nice juxtaposition here on boasting, but also kind of like giving a little bit of what are the kids called now when you throw shade, at someone else. And I stole this just in case he's watching, off a buddy off Facebook who used to call me dad, and he probably still does if we hung out. So he posted this. I thought that was amazing, kind of interesting boast.
It is though too, because it's I think we've all been on the receiving end. There, the recipient of snoring, and you maybe been awake or jarred by the snoring and going, and they're out. They are so out. And I've tried to adjust the head in the sleep. Have you ever tried to adjust your partner's head while they're snoring?
I haven't. It's funny. I texted this to my partner tonight, and she was like, or this afternoon, she's like, "Was I snoring last night?" And I'm like, "No." And this is funny because I snore all the time. You never snore,
right?
So it's like, I'm not saying that when I'm snoring, but if I'm snoring, I'm having a good sleep. But yes, I think I've given her permission to just wake me up. And for me, when I'm in that state, I have this high alert response. It's like, she'll just like touch my chest or something to kind of be like, can you readjust your, and I'll be like, like start swatting at her. She's like, I'm scared to wake you up.
Yeah, well, understandably with that information. Have you seen that device, like the sleep apnea device, that it's like it adjusts your head automatically? It's like a pillow adjuster when you're sleeping, sort of like to adjust how you're laying.
Automatically adjust your
automatically head? When you snore, it will adjust, self-correct. It's a couple $100. I saw it was like some Kickstarter Indiegogo thing, and they went to production, and it sounded really good. But I'm like, that seems like the least obtrusive of all the things I've seen for it. I don't know what it's called.
I'm looking it up. We're a low budget show here. We don't have any admin people to look things up and put them on the screen.
You're bursting the bubble. I've been telling people we have a huge production team behind us.
Yeah, Steve, shut up. Get the thing on the screen. Come on, man.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Yeah. How much time do I have left on the clock tonight, Judy?
Is it called the APCO Tech Wedge Pillow? Memory foam, top produce neck. Oh, no, that doesn't move.
No, this is more of like an IoT device that would sync with your phone to give you some data after about like how many times you did it. So it's more, I think, like techie Bay Area element of data sharing, maybe. I don't know.
It's like people at their head have a 26-degree angle are usually the ones who snore the least.
If you're reading this, you're already sleeping.
That's right.
Yeah, wait a minute.
This report was part of another study of, helping people fall asleep.
So as we come towards the end of our program this evening,
Are we ending? You didn't give me a heads
we don't
up.
have to
How long
end
is
yet,
it?
but we are approaching the ending.
Oh, okay. Phew. I'm like a child. You got to give me a heads up. Like 3 minutes till bedtime. 2 minutes.
No. We still have a solid 10, but as we
Oh, sweet.
approach the end of the program, I always like to put in the head of things as we look at the new week. Sunday is the start of a new week.
Ah, yes.
Looking ahead, what are we excited about? What is going to be giving us we're talking about fulfillment.
That's right.
And purpose. What is going to be providing that for you this week? What are you looking forward to? Should I start,
Well,
or do you want to start?
do you have something in mind? I do have something in mind, but you go ahead, please.
No, I don't have anything in mind. I could use the time.
Well, no worries. Luckily, I thought of something while you were talking. Good teamwork.
Good. Yeah.
So, a couple things coming up. My parent-in-laws are visiting in about a week, so I'm looking forward to everything coming up to that. They're a lot of fun. And also, I'm really enjoying this. I want to thank you very much for getting into this with me, and like us both being at the same place has been really great in terms of just starting and without expectation, just having a good chat, having fun. It's good. On that note, I've lined up another interview in the line of kind of the positive insight stuff. So strictly digging out the good stuff from people's experiences and hearing about it. So I like our back and forth. We both like to talk in that good way. And then I think I'm going to try to go a direction where I don't talk at all, which would be really hard. So it's going to be a growth period. But what I do love, and this is something that fills me, is highlighting the positives. So thanks for asking this question, because I think that's really motivating for me as well. And also working from home was challenging because I really not because home was bad. It was great. My kids have been amazing considering how sick they were. Being at work and knowing I can support people, that's really helpful for me. And so I'm looking forward to being back at work this week and having a full week there, having folks back, and just being able to be on that tip to be supportive positively for people. So that's mine.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Those are good. I covered almost every facet too.
I tried to
think
do
about it.
I answered in the trifecta format.
No pressure to me here. Jeez. Yeah, you really did.
Well, listen, what's the next thing you're looking to first?
Well, tomorrow I have my class in the morning, the
There you go.
second class. I'm excited for that, and presenting my homework, which was in this case a assignment on writing a artist statement, which was surprisingly challenging
Oh,
in sort of an academic sense of an artist statement of character and performance.
do you mind if we explore that for a minute before you move on to the next point?
Sure. Yeah.
Just curious how to go for you. Like, obviously you are excited to present it. So something was really.
It was challenging. I was sort of blocked by it in the first half of the week. I didn't even want to think about it. I felt overwhelmed by work when I came back, not in a bad way, just like, okay, Monday hits and it's that, boom, you're going to have a busy week and there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's like, oh, you got to work on the artist statement. Not today. It's just like Sunday was long ago and Monday is here.
That means it's good for you, right? When you're putting it off like that, that's it.
Right. No, it's totally.
I know that for sure.
Right. And there's another like a personal work thing. One of my a business that I'm launching on the side that I'm in the final stages of a proposal for what could be a very exciting first customer. A little too big even for me if I was to pick my first customer, frankly. No, I'm just being really honest. You pick your first customer, you're hoping it's a sort of a smaller thing. Not that I'm not capable or ready for this opportunity, but it's a little larger than maybe I would be asking for the first one. So it's really exciting, but it's almost overwhelming a little bit to that same extent. And I'm putting that off, or I put that off this week, but I have to do a bit of work on that tomorrow. And the artist statement was similar. I did dive in. It took me a few days.
I giggled because I was thinking like, yeah, obviously I know you're capable of it, but I recognize those feelings. So that's why I was just
Yeah.
like I know that feeling. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it came down to. Is it's sort of the not even fear of success. Well, it's probably more fear of success than fear of failure. It's interesting because this could really be a big thing, and there's a very clear market fit for what I'm trying to do without getting really into the details. So it's exciting.
Inside. Yeah,
because a lot of companies work years before they can find that market fit. And I've been brewing on this truthfully since I started in my current role, which was 3 years ago. So this is something that I've been working on sort of behind the scenes in some form for probably 3.5 or 4 years.
I'm excited for you.
So I'm excited. The class was a challenge. I have to distill and be brief. I had a couple books I wanted to read, but I'm working on being brief. One of the books I'm reading is called Brief, on how to be a bit more succinct, specifically when speaking. I think I'm very much about brevity in my writing, but less so when I speak. I can get a little long-winded. And everyone's all into The Social Dilemma on Netflix. I'm really going on a tangent now, and I have not answering the question. But this book, Digital Minimalism, which is a book I read a year ago, this is the book you should be reading.
All right.
This is more practical solutions about minimizing the technological interference in our lives in the form of infinite notifications and utilizing the phone as a tool that you utilize for your benefit. It doesn't utilize you. And it's easy to do. You don't have to change your phone. You don't have to get a dumb phone, a flip phone, a simple phone. You just have to start controlling the notifications, make sure the apps you have are relevant. Just because you have 6 social media accounts, don't put 6 social media apps on your phone. Is that probably the healthiest thing for you? Probably not. So some of it's very practical. A lot of it is really interesting data, but Cal Newport's a good author. So Digital Minimalism is recommended, especially if you've been onto the social dilemma sort of craze of what that documentary talked about, which I wasn't thrilled by it. I got to be honest, because I thought it was a little, I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not. I almost
you're not
feel
missing
like
anything.
watching it is sort of like giving into the theory of it somehow. Get what I mean? It's like
right, because it's Netflix and they're harvesting your organs. Your data.
Go up. I think I've watched Netflix. I've never watched it, but I'm like, I'm not going to watch Netflix anymore in protest or in fulfillment of that concept.
Right. That's right.
So what I hear from you is that you're excited about your class and sharing the journey that you went through. I'm hearing that you're excited to move into this project. Those are really big, exciting things, man. I'm excited for you as well.
Yeah, and just getting back into performance and comedy and feeling a bit more sense of just foundationally, I'm an artist at my core, and I've really suppressed that. I think the last few years, and I am now recovering from the effects of that suppression. That's really the summary of all of it.
That's really useful for creativity. So I'm glad.
Oh yeah, I'm in an artsy mountain town. If I'm not gonna use the time while I'm up in the artsy mountain town,
I thought you were like, I gotta floss. My neighbors are starting to ask me how artsy I really am.
Yeah. No, that would be me asking my neighbor, actually.
Oh, okay.
more than the opposite. Dental hygiene is still top of the books over here. Have you tried cocoa floss?
Like,
it's amazing.
Flossing means like to show off your stuff.
True. Yeah, that's. I took it too literally. I've been in the mountain. You're following the theme of explaining jokes. Which
I also went to the dentist today, so that could have threw you off, right? Because I was talking about the dentist earlier. So
I think that's what it is. I thought that this was that is actually the pattern.
Over on this side of my head.
And I'm enjoying my new colorful shirts. This is made. I got it on a sample sale. This is an LA made shirt. The shirt's made in Los Angeles, so it's like buying local.
So I'm wearing a red shirt again. It's a different red shirt than the last show, and actually
made in Vancouver.
Yes, does it say made in Vancouver?
No, I don't know. You go with it.
Yeah, maybe Vancouver. Could be.
The red T-shirt company.
The back says voicestory.ca. So if you're watching, go check out voicestory.ca. It's a nonprofit I work with occasionally. I haven't since very much since COVID. I haven't been really engaged because I've been busy, but that's something actually that probably would do me some good to get back into. So I'm glad we mentioned that. Before we end off, I just wanted to throw in some. I'm having a challenge, and I think maybe if I say it out loud, it might help. So I've been really keen on the idea of starting an online support, just like a place to visit for men. I've been part of many men's circles in my past, and I find that's actually where I've learned a lot of my ability to be in touch with some of my emotions, and it's just a great place to be able to feel like you can find ways to be vulnerable so that you can take that into the real world and practice that. That's how so I want to start an online circle. I've done a few in the past. It's been a big gap lately, and I just think now's the time. So I'm gonna get on that project. So I just want to put that out into the universe, and
count me in.
Yeah, okay, great. That's thanks. And it's not a plug necessarily, but hey, if anyone's listening and that's something that you'd be interested in, please throw me a line, and we'll get you involved as well. So,
and to be clear, you're talking a true group. We're not doing a show. This is a Zoom private, enclosed space, safe space where you can have. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I'm looking for a dedicated group because part of it is the cohesion of feeling safe. So yeah. Anyway, I just want to put that
tried to join a men's group. I this is a true story. This isn't like the start of a joke. I literally started. I know someone here that was facilitating one online. It's supposed to be 4 guys attending the first one. 2 of them no-showed, so it was just me and another guy talking. It was enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. Like I got something out of it, but it wasn't a group. You need a few people to make a group. Right now you and I are having a great conversation, but 2 more people becomes a group now. Now we have a dynamic, right? There's that little sense of that family and community.
Absolutely, because I've done quite a few. I've had some mentorship around running men's groups, and there is a magic number. They say it's around 6. And one of the challenges, even in physical groups, because everybody's got busy lives, and sometimes when you need it most, you don't actually want to attend. But one of the challenges is to have 6 people show up consistently enough. You need to schedule about 13. And then, so even if you're getting 6 all the time, it's not always the same 6. And and that's where I think maybe I've been a little hesitant, like kind of feeling like negative towards myself. I'm like, how are we going to hold that cohesion on an online group? Likely I'll have to round up people who've never met physically. How do we get that energy going? But you know what? We're going to figure it out. And I think that's the beauty of that challenge. And that's where I'm going to challenge myself to go do that. So
I love it. Start a Facebook group, so maybe we can start getting some like-minded people together, at least in the same space, to start plugging something, or if you're to promote something.
2 amazing men's groups. They're not for promotion. There's 0 promotion on both of them. They have rules, but I'm actually just blown away at the holisticness of how rounded the group is. Every type of man and. Yeah, just really impressed. Anyway, it's hard to explain, but I think you're right. Yeah. I think we get like-mindedness and try to get a little bit going. But
so
that's what I have. That's another thing I'm looking forward to. Thanks for listening.
I love that. I think that's a great thing. I look forward to hearing more about it when we hopefully meet again next week. We haven't decided on the time. We haven't decided on the name. So we're trying to shoot, at least record and stream live weekly.
One weekly
on a weekend. My preference on my schedule is I'm like, oh, my peak time is 10 a.m. You're like, my peak time is 8:30 p.m. But we're making it work.
Well, actually, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, 10 a.m. is about mine too. It's just
I might have noticed
some stuff going on in the back and all that. So the 8:30 works for me in that sense. But
absolutely, and I'm doing all right. I'm stretching it.
Yeah, you're doing great. I think you're doing great. Let's put a little bit of a timeline on some sort of stability. Let's say like within 3 more shows, we'll have a format. How do you feel about that? Put that down for us.
I like that, actually. 3 more shows. We'll have a format. That would take us, if we're doing weekly, I'm just going to point this out. If we're doing weekly, that's going to take us to 1, 2, 3, middle of, just be the middle of October, really. And even if we miss 1 or 2, by the end of October,
Perfect.
that's a great time frame, and that really gets us into the winter season, ready to dive into some solid programming.
Let's change our objective to be better directed at accomplishment. Because if we say 3 more shows, we could start skipping shows, and it might be December before we get to the third one. Let's say before the end of October. Let's say before November 1st.
I would even say let's make sure we do 3 more shows, right,
Oh,
by the end of October.
even more specific. Very good. I like it.
Yeah, I like, because I said 3, and I do think that there's something about the dynamic and topics and structure that we're sort of just fleshing out together here, and each time it seems like there's a better rhythm that we have as well.
Awesome.
Excited for that. I've enjoyed our conversations tonight, Mark D.
As well.
Let's call it a program, and yeah, it's exciting. Have a great evening and a great week, everyone.
Real quick before we stop, I want to shout out to Jen because she made a comment on Facebook. Thanks for watching, Jen. Appreciate it. Anyone else listening, or if you watch this in the replay, drop us a line. We'd appreciate it. Let us know that you heard us and what you thought. Give us some feedback. Back to you, Ruben.
I love it. Have a great night, everyone. And we're going to let the Rolling Stones play it out just to keep it on theme.